master of disguise. I'm sure that won't worry you, Mervyn.
Ha ha ha. Skipper, sounds to me like a job for...
I mean, they are big. God, they are big! Oh, the paper.
The lively strains of Yakety sax burst into life, opening the fast-motion chase sequences that became the global trademark of the Benny Hill Show.
They were thinking. Well, I did a commercial the other day, and actually, on the set in the studio next to us, they were doing one of these Girl in the Bath commercials, you know, so when I...
Millions of viewers across generations laughed uncontrollably as the leading man repeatedly slapped the small, bald, elderly man on the head, never realizing that an extraordinarily subtle, hidden detail was unfolding right before their eyes. By closely observing the unusual wisp of smoke rising behind the frame, viewers could uncover the true backstage secret of this legendary television program.
What position are you holding at the moment?
I'm sort of like upright but relaxed, like you said.
No,
Off them up a jumper. But not completely sure, you see, sir. So I approached her with my ballpoint in my hand.
That overlooked detail revealed more than the truth behind the famous head slap. It also opened the door to the untold shadows surrounding the Benny Hill Show, from its million-pound heights and broadcast bans to the bitter ending that unfolded behind the camera. In 1969, the decision to transfer the broadcasting rights to Thames Television marked a major technical turning point for Alfred Hawthorne Hill's production team. The move relocated the entire filming operation to the Teddington Studios complex, where internal workplace safety regulations were enforced with exceptional strictness. Fire prevention rules were applied thoroughly through a complete smoking ban across every soundstage. In that environment, supporting actor John Wright, a former mechanical engineering worker from Belfast who stood approximately 5 feet tall, struggled with a severe dependence on cigarettes. He frequently attempted to maintain the habit by concealing a lit cigarette inside his palm or holding it backward inside his mouth during short breaks. Former supporting performer Susie Mandel confirmed the practice through a first-hand account of how the production team handled the visual problem. Jackie Wright was a heavy smoker, and he often hid the cigarette in his mouth or behind his back while filming. You can actually see a thin trail of smoke rising behind him if you look closely enough. Benny slapped him on the head to disperse the smoke. The repeated physical contact with the supporting actor's bald head originally arose from a practical need to scatter the cigarette smoke before the camera swept across the set. This improvised form of studio protection was later retained in the editing structure, combined with exaggerated sound effects and accelerated frame speed. The program's principal creator personally handled the writing of more than 90% of the detailed scripts across its broadcast seasons. The language system within the material made extensive use of double entendres and regionally coded expressions rooted in British popular culture. The technical crew used mechanical processing methods, including shutter effects, that increased the apparent speed of the characters' movements. Coordinated sequences were calculated precisely to deceive the viewer's eye while meeting the strict cultural censorship standards imposed by broadcasting authorities. The core group of collaborators played an important role in shaping the structural style of each filmed scene. Announcer Henry McGee guided dialogue segments with a formal manner, creating a striking contrast with actor Bob Todd's constantly shifting facial expressions. The arrival of the professional dance troupe known as Hill's Angels significantly expanded the scale and distribution of stage performance time. Sue Upton joined the production and quickly became an intermediary responsible for coordinating legitimate workplace interests and helping to ensure a safe environment for the female performers. The tightly coordinated workflow among the different personnel groups created a production model that operated steadily for many consecutive years. Carefully managed visual details helped the program maintain its leading position in audience attraction across the contemporary media market. That sustained growth unintentionally created a powerful operational inertia, encouraging the entire production team to preserve its established formula without anticipating the changes taking place around it. Quiet shifts in social attitudes began to place invisible pressure on the creative direction of the popular entertainment program. The boycott wave. Fundamental changes in British cultural life and the political landscape under Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher began establishing new operating standards across the television industry. Modern visual entertainment gradually moved toward more direct, demanding, and critical engagement with social issues. The rise of alternative comedy quickly established an artistic philosophy completely opposed to traditional entertainment values. Screenwriter Ben Elton launched a forceful media campaign on the live program Saturday Live and continued presenting sharply argued criticism in the music magazine Q. In these public statements, Elton directly condemned the central performance style of the Benny Hill show as a form of expression that encouraged harassment. He argued that images of an older man repeatedly chasing scantily dressed young women had normalized inappropriate behavior in real society. The opposition soon spread throughout the media system, supported by contemporary feminist movements and social campaigner Mary Whitehouse. These groups repeatedly submitted formal petitions and warning messages to broadcasting regulators, demanding a review of the program's eligibility to remain on television. The legal and regulatory crisis reached its peak when the British Broadcasting Standards Council issued a professional assessment. The supervisory body officially concluded that the program's staged content no longer aligned with accepted moral standards and was provoking negative reactions among modern audiences. Under growing pressure from public opinion, Alfred Hawthorne Hill gave a small number of rare press interviews in an attempt to defend the legitimacy of his professional work. He explained that the male characters he portrayed were always foolish men who were punished, while the female characters retained control and emerged victorious at the end of each segment. To reduce the sensitive nature of the content and attempt to reverse declining audience figures, the producer changed the staging structure by introducing a group of children into the performances. These young participants were the children of members of the backstage technical crew and appeared under the name Little Angels to create a more innocent atmosphere. This late adjustment to the program did not produce positive results because public viewing preferences had already changed completely. Audience ratings continued to fall sharply, dropping from a peak of 21 million viewers to fewer than 10 million. The complicated developments in media coverage and broadcasting figures pushed the production organization into a period of comprehensive crisis. The concept of social censorship began to influence the strategic direction of network management as executives considered the program's future. The continuous decline in commercial standing turned the program into a management burden for its parent organization. Hostile reactions from critics and regulators opened the way for decisive administrative action against the entertainment project. The shift in cultural standards continued to create deep fractures in the relationship between the production company and the broadcasting network. Internal discussions between management and the production team began focusing on a reassessment of the program's commercial operating effectiveness. Ideological instability in the media environment gradually placed the program in a defensive position as censorship standards became increasingly strict. Measurements of audience attitudes repeatedly reflected the public's growing distance from the established production formula, directly preparing the ground for a radical restructuring by television executives. 2 minutes of cruelty. the economic operation of the production machine began showing serious signs of imbalance. The cost of staging each episode rose sharply to £450,000 because of technical modernization requirements, licensing expenses, and additional operating costs incurred during studio filming. In spite of the high production budget, the program remained a machine capable of generating enormous commercial profit for its parent company. Through extensive distribution of broadcast rights across the United States and more than 100 countries, Thames Television earned over £100 million from international exports. In May 1989, Alfred Hawthorne Hill returned to England after attending the Cannes Film Festival with complete confidence in his professional position. He firmly believed that his production contract would be renewed for another season because of the extraordinary financial contributions he had delivered to the network over many years. The network's leadership had prepared a completely different outcome for the internal meeting. John Howard Davies, the newly appointed head of light entertainment at Thames Television, summoned the comedian to an unexpected meeting at the company's executive offices. The formal meeting lasted less than 5 minutes. Davies directly announced the immediate cancellation of the program and unilaterally ended the 2-decade partnership between the performing brand and the broadcaster. The network representative presented 3 main reasons for ending the production: falling audience ratings, excessive operating costs, and most importantly, the increasingly visible signs of age and serious physical exhaustion in Benny Hill's television appearance. The abrupt dismissal created an exceptionally deep emotional crisis for the entertainment star. His manager later recorded Hill's bitter statement: "After leaving the network headquarters, I gave them my whole life, and all I got was a pat on the back on the way out." The entire termination process unfolded with complete coldness from the media management system of the period. No farewell celebration or honorary program was organized to recognize the artist's decades of contribution to the growth of the network. The psychological shock of losing the work that had defined his life caused his health to deteriorate rapidly. Chronic conditions, including heart failure and impaired kidney function, grew increasingly severe, pushing him into an entirely secluded existence with minimal contact with the outside world. The disappearance of the performance program from television marked the end of a commercial entertainment symbol. Far from the stage lights and the studio, the comedian withdrew into his private living space to confront personal health problems in media silence. The sudden termination of his broadcasting career left a profound void in his daily existence, effectively stripping him of the singular purpose that had driven his adult life. Without the demanding schedule of the production studios, the performer found himself confined to the quiet routine of his rented flat, where the onset of chronic heart and kidney ailments became increasingly difficult to manage. The end of his broadcasting career left a large void in his emotional life. The sudden rejection by the network and the rapid transformation of the entertainment industry left him professionally and personally disoriented. The psychological damage continued to erode the already weakened physical condition of the late performer. Without a creative environment or interaction with the public, his daily life gradually narrowed within the enclosed space of his private apartment. A lonely death. After leaving the entertainment world, Alfred Hawthorne Hill established a completely reclusive life marked by unusual spending habits. His officially verified net worth in 1992 reached £7.5 million. That enormous accumulation of wealth would be worth more than £20 million in modern terms. Although he possessed substantial financial resources, the performer firmly refused to purchase personal property. He chose instead to live continuously in modest rented apartments in Queen's Gate and later in Teddington. His close friend, Sarah Kemp, directly confirmed the extreme frugality that shaped his everyday life. The television star owned no personal vehicle, even though he had held a valid driving license for many years. He regularly walked several miles to avoid taxi fares and frequently repaired his old clothing himself. His emotional life was also deeply affected by personal insecurity and a pathological lack of confidence in his real-world appearance. Historical accounts record 3 formal marriage proposals involving actress Annette Andre and dancer Doris Deal, all of which were rejected directly. These repeated disappointments caused him to close off his private world completely and develop symptoms of claustrophobia. On April 20th, 1992, producer Dennis Kirkland decided to climb through a window to enter Hill's rented Teddington apartment after several days without contact. The local police report determined that Benny Hill had died approximately 2 days earlier from an acute heart attack. His body was found sitting motionless in an old armchair amid an extremely cluttered living environment. Emergency responders and law enforcement officers entering the premises encountered a scene that starkly contrasted with the vast wealth the performer had accumulated throughout his career. Unopened mail, discarded food containers, and stacks of television listings littered the surrounding floor space, illustrating a lifestyle marked by severe self-neglect during his final days. The physical condition of the rented flat mirrored the tragic isolation that defined his existence following his sudden removal from the broadcasting world. Uncashed checks worth hundreds of thousands of pounds remained scattered across the tables, completely unused by an individual who routinely chose extreme frugality over basic personal comfort. The television set, positioned directly in front of the armchair, remained powered on, casting a dim light over the quiet room where one of global entertainment's most recognizable figures drew his last breath. This somber discovery brought a definitive end to an era of British comedy, leaving investigators and close acquaintances to document the quiet, unceremonious conclusion of a life spent in the relentless pursuit of public laughter. The area around him was filled with plates of unfinished food and stacks of worn television guide magazines. Across the table lay numerous uncashed checks worth hundreds of thousands of pounds, while the television screen in front of him remained switched on. The television star's death immediately triggered a complicated legal dispute concerning inheritance rights. His only valid will had been written in 1961 when his parents and siblings were still alive. Because every relative from the previous generation had already died, the entire fortune was automatically transferred to distant nieces and nephews. This legal outcome provoked strong reactions from long-term colleagues, including Sue Upton, Bob Todd, and Henry McGee. These core collaborators received no financial support from the estate, even though verbal promises had reportedly been made to provide for them. The tragic ending of a millionaire's life left the public with profound questions about the darker side of fame. All the material wealth accumulated during the height of his career ultimately passed to people who had remained distant from his daily life. Beyond the inheritance disputes, the memory of the late performer entered a new period of testing under the influence of modern visual technology. The verdict of the digital age. As the digital era expanded, the return of the old program quickly produced sharply divided public reactions. The television channel, That's TV, acquired the commercial rights and officially began rebroadcasting classic episodes across its British network in 2021. The revival immediately ignited heated debate across many contemporary social media platforms. The documentary, The Cancellation of Benny Hill, produced by Channel 5, recorded the genuine reactions of younger Gen Z viewers encountering the old footage. Young audiences expressed surprise at the gender stereotypes and racial elements in the staging, which no longer aligned with modern standards. At the same time, critics and younger viewers acknowledged that Alfred Hawthorne Hill's command of timing in physical comedy remained at the highest professional level. The reassessment of his artistic legacy moved further into the world of dramatic theater. The biographical play, What's Wrong with Benny Hill, premiered in London in early 2026 and offered an entirely new artistic perspective. The stage production portrayed the television star as a complicated individual shaped by a wartime generation and trapped inside the era of sexual liberation. This approach encouraged audiences to understand him as a historical product of his time, rather than simply as a figure associated with harmful ideas. Cultural critics writing for respected publications such as The Times and GQ produced a series of detailed analyses examining the early form of cancellation that occurred within the entertainment industry. Specialists compared the removal of the performer in 1989 with the waves of condemnation that now appear regularly across social media. Modern comedian Paul Whitehouse also made public statements recognizing the foundational creative value of his predecessor's work within entertainment. This delayed acknowledgement reflected a shift among performers toward separating technical achievement from ideological controversy. The current legacy of the comedy icon remains clearly divided across geographical regions and consumer markets. While the British market continues to approach his work cautiously, international audiences in Spain and the United States still receive the dialogue-free chase sequences as classic lessons in physical staging. The historical transformation in modern public opinion regarding the legacy of the show demonstrates that artistic values are always subjected to the strict filtering of time. Looking back across the entire career and private life of the late television star reveals powerful lessons about the highly unstable nature of fame. The dramatic shift from global adulation to sudden industry ostracization highlights how quickly cultural standards can redefine the value of an individual's life work. The institutional memory of the entertainment industry frequently proves short, meaning that past financial contributions provide no permanent protection against shifting societal expectations. This reality forced the performer into a state of deep personal isolation where the absence of a professional creative outlet accelerated the decline of his physical health. The physical remnants left behind in the rented apartment, such as uncashed financial instruments and obsolete broadcasting guides, stand as stark symbols of a wealth that could not buy emotional security or systemic loyalty. Contemporary retrospective analyses continue to grapple with these contradictions by attempting to balance technical appreciation with necessary social criticism. The evolution of audience reception across different geographic territories further underscores the complexity of evaluating mid-20th century humor through a modern digital lens. Ultimately, the story serves as an enduring case study regarding the vulnerability of popular icons who fail to adapt to the changing moral landscapes of their era. The ongoing critical discourse surrounding these historical materials will undoubtedly persist as future generations apply their own evolving standards to the remnants of past entertainment empires. The balance between the severe judgment of history and understanding for an artist's fate will continue to be debated for many years. From the hidden codes inside Studio Smoke to Benny Hill's silent ending, his journey reflects a turbulent chapter in the history of world television. Yakety Sax may have fallen silent, but its lessons about fame and the cruelty of time remain unchanged. If these documentary materials have offered you a fresh and deeper perspective, support the channel by pressing like, sharing the video, and subscribing, so you do not miss the next shocking stories from behind the scenes. Leave your comment below. Do you believe the artistic value of The Benny Hill Show deserves a fairer reassessment after more than 3 decades? Thank you for watching. Goodbye, and see you again in the next documentary reports.